Yes.
Yes.
Remember that?
There was another Parisian.
Yeah, that was in Paris too. Yeah. Remember.
So something like
No,
that.
actually it wasn't. It was before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. People.
Yes, I know. Well, 500 days.
Sorry to bother you, Malcolm. This is Peter Cooley. He's actually the artist that did these works.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Peter hasn't revisited these for quite a while, so it's all a bit revelatory, isn't it?
It's 25 years. Oh, that was 25 years ago. Alright, I was born in Moorlambar, in northern New South Wales, and I grew up in Tweed Heads, which is 30 k's from Moorlambar. And it's a sort of seaside village, well, it was then, now it's part of the Gold Coast. But I was bored. I was bored out of my brain, sort of culturally, and so I had a lot of illness when I was a little kid. So I actually got I used to watch a lot of TV, and I used to watch a lot of movies when I was midday movie when I was a kid, and I just thought, well, there's more going on here. There's something happening than lots of other things that were going on around me. So it was sort of pretty basic, really. It was a means of escape, and there also probably was an identity thing too. There was probably a gay identity going on, because I probably realised, I don't like all this. I mean, you know, this is not really what's sending me off. So I sort of probably reverted into myself and watched. So this is where this imagery does come from. There was an excellent lecturer called Nutter Buzzacott who came from Melbourne, and he taught at the Brisbane College of Art. He had taught at the old Central Tech in Brisbane, so I knew him too. He was quite a good artist, and I phoned him up, and he said, yes, do fine arts, because I didn't know. I was, at that stage whether to do graphics or fine arts, and thank God he said do fine arts. And then I went to Brisbane and enrolled there, and I mean, unfortunately, I think it's kind of pretty important really to have a good museum in the town that you study in, and that's a real lacking in Australia, except probably for Melbourne. That's not so good, but I had there was incredible camaraderie. Probably would only happen in Queensland. So it was a really good. It was a good experience. The interest in popular culture, I think I said that before, it came from sort of a theatrical metaphor really for the pictures. I remember very early on, I was really lucky. James Mollison said to me, "You just got to be really honest with what you do." I mean, I don't want to sound that as a real cliche, but I sort of thought, well, this is actually something I was using as escape for some sort of trauma, probably. So that's why I specifically did this type of work because it was something like out there, and it was also, I was totally removed from it, and it was also incredibly past. So things are often quite basic, and often the solution is really simple. I mean, you can just, you don't always have to dig and dig and dig. It's there in front of you, and that can become the metaphor. I really responded to Indigenous art, not just from Australia, but from everywhere, and I really responded to early 20th century modernism, and particularly German Expressionism. And I found it interesting that the German Expressionists came out of the Romantics, which came out of German Renaissance, which came out of medieval, and I find that interesting in that chronological history. With history, yes, each generation has a different slant on it. Whether it be right or wrong, I don't know, but it's just a different slant. And hopefully it's more truthful, but not always. But I find that interesting because it's often it's opening of another chapter anyway, and another viewpoint. This painting is I don't know whether it's actually revisionist in the history. This painting is directly from a Charles Rebell's picture of Jeddah, which the politic I'm not going to comment on. But the visuals in the pictures was pretty stunning. It was Technicolor and it was just full on out in Central Australia, and they really keyed it up. And that's what I'm commenting on the visuals of the picture. When I lived in Paris, on the way to the museums, because I'd go to the Louvre and all the museums every day, and on the way I'd always pass the African shops, and the most one was sort of interesting. I'd think, wait a minute, this stuff I'm seeing in the shops here is as good as what I'm going to see in the museums. What's happening here? But anyway, I was able to go to the shop and I could buy these beads, the same beads that they used in Africa, and I'll check, and it was really you can't get them here in Australia, so I bought them up. I bought them home. I made quite a few works with them too. I was influenced by that work. When I did live in Paris, I had a job faking antiques for the Australian and American markets. So a lot of the stuff was we were remodelling frames, 19th century remakes of 18th century frames. So I picked up a lot of gilding and skills like that, doing that. But often I found when you go to museums, and it's often when you're in things in Europe and that, if you look around the Uffizi and 18th century Rococo palaces in Germany and that, what is around is as good as what's in the middle. This was at the height of, I think I was sort of doing like more sort of gay icon work, and actually, when I used to go to Mardi Gras, quite often I went in drag sometimes, and I actually put a wig on. Not that I'm a transvestite at all, but I only did it to go to the Mardi Gras. I actually just put a wig on, and I did the portrait with a wig on. Hopefully it's a melting pot of all things between high and low, and you mentioned Cooley, which was interesting because I saw that movie Kiss the Spider Woman, and it actually meant a lot to me at the time. Not as in the drag element or anything, but it was a gay man looking at old movies, and there was quite a tragic end to it, which sometimes things are in life too. So that's what I sort of it hit quite a strong expressive element as in the work. So with how I sort of related to the art scene at the time, I was involved. I showed at Morrie Gallery, and I was friends with, as I said, Fiona McDonald. I was friends with Susan Norrie and Tony Warburton and Clinton Garifano and people. But I wasn't totally ever really involved in it. I always stood back, I think, a bit. Yes, everyone wants to be more successful than what they are, but everything, I think, is fine. I mean, at the moment I've taken a chance. I make ceramics for the last 7 years, and that's changed the rules a bit. But I'm happy with them, and people and my supporters are happy with them. I think I'm pushing it. I can push the ceramics around more than I can actually the painting. That's why I'm really doing it. I can make three-dimensional paintings and really kick the guts out of them. Whereas with painting, there are still rules and limitations if you don't want all your paint to peel off or crack or whatever, which is terrific. I don't mind that, but I can really kick the guts out of my ceramics and have something that will last a long time.